You might find yourself in a room, surrounded by people. The hum of conversations is steady, comforting presence for everyone else. Yet, for you, it often feels like a subtle, almost imperceptible film separates you from it all. You are physically present, your body occupying its space, but there's a quiet, persistent hum beneath your own skin, a low frequency that doesn't quite match the one vibrating through the room. It's not a feeling of outright exclusion, not a door slammed shut in your face, but more like a door that was never quite open in the first place, or perhaps one that you simply never noticed to push. It might manifest as a slight hesitation before you speak, an extra moment taken to translate the thought into words that feel appropriate for the current atmosphere, only to find the moment has passed. Or perhaps it's the way you often find yourself observing, rather than participating, noticing the intricate dance of human connection unfolding around you, the unspoken cues, the shared laughter that ripples through a group, while you stand just at the edge of the circle, an invisible line drawn between your space and theirs. You can see the warmth, you can hear the ease, you can even appreciate the genuine joy, but something within you remains stubbornly outside the current of it, a gentle eddy watching the mainstream flow by. Sometimes, it's a quiet ache that settles in your chest when you scroll through images of friends gathered, an echo of a feeling you've carried since childhood. That feeling of being a guest in your own life, perpetually poised to leave, even when you've been invited to stay. You learn to smile, to nod, to engage in the socially expected ways, and you do it well, so well in fact that no one around you suspects the truth. They see you as capable, perhaps a little reserved, maybe even pleasantly independent. They might comment on your quiet strength, your thoughtful demeanor, your ability to listen without interrupting. And these observations are not wrong, not entirely. But they only touch the surface of a deeper current, one that pulls you subtly away from the very thing they assume you are a part of. The world, in its earnest attempt to categorize and understand, has many labels for this particular way of being. They might call you an introvert, suggesting that your energy simply replenishes in solitude, which is true in part, but doesn't quite capture the deeper resonance. Or perhaps they see you as shy, a gentle soul who simply needs a little coaxing to emerge from your shell, believing that with enough effort, enough encouragement, you will eventually blossom into a more overtly gregarious version of yourself. Some might even perceive a hint of aloofness, a quiet superiority, or a self-sufficiency that borders on being unapproachable, not realizing the immense effort it takes to maintain that outward composure, the internal landscape that is far from indifferent. They offer well-meaning advice. These people who see your quietness as a problem to be solved, a puzzle to be unraveled. Just put yourself out there more, they'll say, as if courage were simply a matter of turning a key. You just need to find your tribe, they'll suggest, implying that belonging is a commodity waiting to be discovered, rather than a feeling that seems to elude you even within the most seemingly perfect circles. They tell you to speak up, to share more, to let your guard down, to simply be yourself, as if the self you are presenting isn't already the most authentic, albeit protected, version you know how to offer. And while their intentions are kind, their words often feel like gentle nudges in the wrong direction, like trying to fix a complex engine with a paintbrush. You nod, you smile, you even try some of their suggestions, but the underlying feeling, the subtle sense of being slightly misaligned, persists. They speak of connection as a given, a default state, while for you, it often feels like a carefully constructed bridge over a chasm you can sense but cannot always articulate. What if this feeling, this quiet, persistent sense of being just outside, isn't a flaw to be corrected or a skill to be learned, but rather a deeply ingrained pattern, an intricate blueprint etched into your very being? What if the reason some people never quite feel like they belong isn't a lack of effort on their part, or a failing in their personality, but something far more fundamental, something that began long before they ever consciously sought a place to fit in? We are not talking about simple shyness here, or a fleeting moment of social awkwardness, but a profound and pervasive experience, a background hum of difference that colors nearly every interaction, every perceived connection, every quiet moment of reflection. It's a territory rarely explored with the nuance it deserves, often dismissed as a personality quirk or an emotional deficit. But there is a strange, deeper reason for this persistent internal exile, a reason rooted not in deficiency, but in the very architecture of your nervous system and the stories it learned to tell about the world. Think of your nervous system not as a static entity, but as a sophisticated, constantly adapting communication network, exquisitely tuned to interpret the signals from your environment. For some, this network developed a particular sensitivity, a heightened vigilance, almost like a finely calibrated instrument designed to detect the subtlest shifts in social temperature, the slightest nuances in emotional expression, the unspoken undercurrents that others might simply glide over. This isn't a conscious choice. It's a physiological predisposition, a way of being wired. Scientists refer to concepts like sensory processing sensitivity or the highly sensitive person trait, which describe individuals whose brains process sensory information, including social cues, more deeply and thoroughly. This can mean that the ordinary chatter of a group, the casual brush of an arm, the subtle shift in someone's gaze, all register with a greater intensity for you. What might be background noise for others becomes distinct data points for your system to analyze, to interpret, to respond to. This deep processing isn't just about external stimuli, it extends inward too. Your interoceptive awareness, your ability to sense and interpret your internal bodily states, might also be heightened. You feel the subtle clench in your stomach, the slight tightening in your jaw, the almost imperceptible quickening of your breath. Long before others might notice these physical manifestations of discomfort or tension. And because your system registers these internal signals with such clarity, it creates a rich, complex inner world, a constant dialogue between your body and your mind. This internal richness, while a source of profound insight and empathy, can also create a subtle but persistent barrier. When your internal landscape is so vivid, so complex, so intricately layered with sensation and thought, the external world, with its often simpler, more direct modes of communication, can feel jarring, even inadequate. Consider the default mode network in the brain, a collection of regions that activate when your mind is at rest, when you're introspecting, planning, or simply daydreaming. For individuals who experience this profound sense of non-belonging, this network often shows increased activity. It means your brain is very good at turning inward, at constructing elaborate narratives, at reflecting on experiences. While others might be more readily drawn to external engagement, your neural pathways might be more well-worn for internal exploration. This isn't a sign of social aversion, but rather a preference, an inherent draw towards the intricate dance of your own thoughts and feelings. When your most comfortable and stimulating environment is often within yourself, the effort required to consistently align with external social rhythms can feel like a sustained performance, rather than a natural flow. And then there's the mirror neuron system, the very mechanism that allows us to empathize, to feel what others feel. For some, this system might be exceptionally active, meaning you not only understand others' emotions but you absorb them. This can lead to a profound sense of compassion, an ability to truly see another's perspective, but it also means that the emotional landscape of a group can become overwhelming. When you feel the ripple of anxiety, the undercurrent of unspoken tension, the subtle shifts in mood of those around you, it's not just an intellectual observation. It's a felt experience within your own body. To protect yourself from this constant influx, your system learns to create a gentle buffer, a slight emotional distance, a self-preserving mechanism that, paradoxically, can be interpreted as a lack of engagement by others. It's not that you don't care. It's that you care so deeply, you feel so intensely, that a degree of self-protection becomes necessary for your own equilibrium. Where does such a finely tuned, sensitive nervous system begin its journey? It often starts very early in the formative years, as a child navigating their first experiences of connection and safety. Imagine a young mind, exquisitely sensitive, encountering an environment that, for whatever reason, felt subtly out of sync with its internal needs. Perhaps the emotional landscape of the home was complex, or inconsistent, or simply not quite attuned to the child's particular sensitivities. A parent might have been loving but preoccupied, or perhaps the emotional expressions around the child were subtle, requiring a constant, hypervigilant scanning to understand the mood, to anticipate the next shift. In such an environment, the child's nervous system, brilliant and adaptive, learns to cope in the only way it knows how. It develops an antenna, a highly sophisticated internal radar, constantly scanning for threat, for inconsistency, for signs of misalignment. This wasn't a choice, not a flaw, but a survival strategy. The child unconsciously concluded, To be safe, to understand, I must observe everything. I must anticipate. I must know the unspoken rules. This deep observational capacity, born out of necessity, becomes a default mode of operation. If the world felt unpredictable, or if the child's own needs were often overlooked or misunderstood, they learned to rely on themselves, to find solace and understanding in their own internal world, because the external world often felt like a puzzle with missing pieces. This isn't about blaming parents or childhood circumstances. It's about recognizing how a nervous system, in its innocent attempt to solve the problem of its environment, forged pathways that became deeply ingrained. The problem wasn't the child. The problem was the mismatch, the subtle discord between an exquisitely sensitive internal world and an external reality that didn't always provide the clear, consistent attunement needed for a deep sense of secure belonging to fully blossom. The child learned that full, uninhibited self-expression sometimes led to confusion or misunderstanding, or a feeling of being too much or not enough. So they adapted. They became the quiet observer, the thoughtful listener, the one who notices the faint tremor in a voice, the slight hesitation in a smile, the unspoken story behind someone's eyes. They learned to be the one who understands, often without being fully understood themselves. It is crucial to understand that this way of being, this intricate internal wiring, is not inherently wrong or broken. It is simply a different operating system, a unique lens through which to perceive and interact with the world. Imagine a forest filled with many kinds of trees. Some reach for the sky, bold and expansive, their branches intertwining with others. And then there are those that grow slightly apart, perhaps in a quiet clearing, their roots still deeply connected to the earth, their leaves turning inward towards their own complex patterns of light and shadow. Neither is superior. They simply exist in their own beautiful, distinct ways. Your experience is much like that. While others might find comfort in the broad strokes of group dynamics, you might find depth in the fine lines of individual connection, or in the quiet contemplation of complex ideas. The cost of this hyper-awareness can be a persistent feeling of exhaustion from the constant processing, a yearning for a connection that feels as deep and nuanced as your internal world. The value, however, is immense. You possess a capacity for empathy that is profound, an ability to see beyond the surface, to understand the unspoken, to connect with the subtle layers of human experience that others might miss. You are often the one who notices the quiet pain, the hidden strength, the intricate beauty in what others might dismiss as ordinary. You are the deep feeler, the quiet observer, the thoughtful ponderer, and these are not small things. They are powerful gifts, albeit ones that come with their own unique set of challenges in a world often designed for different sensibilities. And here lies a quiet paradox, a layer you might not have considered. The very mechanism that creates this feeling of being just outside, this deep processing and hypervigilance, also cultivates an extraordinary capacity for authentic self-reflection and a profound understanding of the human condition. Because you've spent so much time observing, not just others, but your own intricate internal responses, you often develop a level of self-awareness that is rare. You understand the nuances of your own fears, the delicate dance of your own desires, the subtle shifts of your own emotions. This deep intimacy with yourself, born from a lifetime of careful internal observation, can make superficial connections feel hollow. You yearn for conversations that dive beneath the surface, for relationships that acknowledge the full, complex spectrum of human experience, not just the curated highlights. But this very yearning, this quest for profound connection, can sometimes inadvertently push you further away from the very thing you seek. When your internal standard for belonging is so deeply rooted in an almost spiritual attunement, a complete and utter recognition of your intricate self, the everyday, imperfect, sometimes messy reality of human connection can feel like a compromise. You might subconsciously hold others to a standard of understanding that is almost impossible for anyone but yourself to meet, simply because your own internal world is so finely textured. This isn't a judgment. It's an observation of a subtle internal pattern. The hidden strength, the profound self-awareness, the capacity for deep introspection can also create a quiet resistance to the beautiful imperfection of belonging, the necessity of compromise, the acceptance of being seen not perfectly but well enough. The gift of your depth can, at times, become a quiet barrier, a filter through which the world must pass, often leaving you feeling like you are waiting for a connection that matches the intricate tapestry of your soul, while others are content with a simpler weave. So, perhaps the profound sense of not belonging isn't a failing or a mistake or something that needs to be fixed. It is, instead, a deeply woven thread in the fabric of who you are, a testament to a nervous system that learned to navigate a complex world with remarkable sensitivity and intelligence. It is the quiet legacy of an exquisitely tuned internal landscape, an origin story shaped by early adaptations, by a constant, nuanced dialogue between your inner and outer worlds. Your experience makes sense. You are not broken. You are not alone in feeling this way, though the nature of this feeling often makes it seem like an intensely private, solitary burden. This understanding is not meant to transform you or to offer a simplistic solution, but merely to offer a quiet recognition, a gentle explanation for a feeling that has likely been a constant companion. It is about finally giving a name to the hum beneath your skin, validating the persistent sense of being just slightly out of step. Your journey is uniquely yours, intricate and deeply felt. And perhaps, with this quiet knowing, this compassionate understanding of your own internal architecture, you can begin to see your experience not as a deficit, but as a distinctive way of moving through the world, a unique perspective, a capacity for depth that is truly your own. There is always more to understand about the intricate workings of your own being, more layers to uncover, more compassion to offer yourself. Perhaps this is merely the beginning of that quiet, unfolding conversation, an invitation to continue exploring the rich landscape of who you are, without judgment, and with a growing sense of gentle curiosity. This exploration is not a hurried expedition with a predefined map, but rather a slow, deliberate walk through a terrain that has always been within you, yet perhaps obscured by the demands of the external world, by the expectations you absorbed, or by the very effort of trying to fit into a shape that was never quite your own. It is an invitation to pause at the edges of your own sensations, to listen to the whispers of your intuition, to acknowledge the subtle currents of energy that flow through your days. You might find yourself noticing patterns in your reactions, moments of profound peace, or instances of inexplicable exhaustion, and instead of labeling them as flaws or failures, you can now approach them as data points, as clues to the intricate operating system of your unique self. Imagine peeling back layers, not to expose something broken that needs fixing, but to reveal the exquisite complexity beneath. This might involve revisiting memories, not to wallow in regret, but to reframe them through this new lens of understanding. Perhaps that childhood moment of intense sensory overload, dismissed as being too sensitive, was actually your nervous system responding authentically to an environment it found overwhelming. Perhaps that persistent feeling of being an observer rather than a participant was not a social failing, but a natural inclination towards deep processing and thoughtful contemplation. A quiet strength that allows you to see nuances others miss. The narrative you have carried about yourself, shaped by a world that often values speed and superficiality over depth and authenticity, can begin to soften, to expand, to make room for a more truthful, more compassionate story. This journey often begins with a subtle shift in perspective, a gentle turning inward. It's about recognizing that the hum beneath your skin, that persistent internal resonance, isn't a distraction to be silenced, but a fundamental aspect of your being, a source of information about your internal state and your environment. Learning to attune to it can become a powerful guide. When does it intensify? When does it quiet? What situations or interactions amplify it, and which ones soothe it? This is not about seeking perfection, but about cultivating a deeper relationship with your own lived experience, understanding its rhythms and needs. As you become more attuned, you might find yourself naturally gravitating towards environments and activities that align with your true nature, and gently yet firmly withdrawing from those that drain or diminish you. This isn't selfishness. It is self-preservation and, ultimately, a pathway to greater contribution. When you are operating from a place of authenticity and internal balance, your capacity for creativity, empathy, and meaningful engagement expands exponentially. You are better able to offer your unique gifts to the world, precisely because you are no longer expending precious energy on maintaining a facade or suppressing your genuine responses. This deeper understanding also brings with it a profound sense of validation. For so long, you might have implicitly or explicitly received messages that suggested you needed to be different, more outgoing, less intense, quicker to adapt, less particular. Now, you can look at those messages not as indictments of your character, but as reflections of a world that sometimes struggles to understand diversity in human experience. Your peculiarities or quirks can begin to transform into distinctive traits, into facets of a rich internal world that allows you to perceive patterns, connect disparate ideas, or feel emotions with a depth that others might only glimpse. The path of self-discovery is rarely linear. There will be moments of profound clarity, followed by periods of doubt or confusion. There will be times when the old habits of self-criticism resurface, when the desire to conform or disappear feels overwhelming. But with each gentle return to curiosity, with each act of self-compassion, you reinforce a new internal pathway. You are building a foundation of self-acceptance, brick by careful brick, a sanctuary within yourself where you can always return to find solace and understanding. This quiet, unfolding conversation with yourself is an ongoing process of learning and unlearning. It involves unlearning the internalized criticisms that have echoed in your mind, unlearning the strategies you developed to cope in a world that didn't quite fit, and unlearning the shame that may have accompanied your unique way of being. Simultaneously, it involves learning to trust your own instincts, learning to honor your own needs, and learning to celebrate the very qualities that once felt like burdens. Consider the concept of energy budgeting in this light. If your internal architecture processes information, sensations, and emotions with a particular depth and intensity, then your energy reserves might be depleted differently than others. Understanding this allows you to create a life that sustains you, rather than constantly leaving you feeling overwhelmed or exhausted. It means giving yourself permission to rest when you need it, to seek out quiet spaces, to engage in activities that genuinely replenish you, even if they seem unconventional to others. It means recognizing that your capacity for deep engagement also requires periods of deep restoration. This isn't about being fragile. It's about being intelligently self-aware and honoring your true operating system. And as you learn to honor your own operating system, you begin to see its inherent strengths more clearly. Perhaps you have an extraordinary capacity for focus when truly engaged, a meticulous attention to detail that allows you to excel in specific areas. Perhaps your sensitivity grants you a profound empathy, an ability to understand the unspoken emotions of others, which makes you a deeply compassionate friend or colleague. Perhaps your out-of-step perspective allows you to innovate, to question assumptions, to see solutions that others, bound by conventional thinking, might miss. These are not minor attributes. They are powerful capacities that contribute uniquely to the fabric of human experience. This shift from seeing yourself as less than to seeing yourself as distinctly formed is a profound act of liberation. It frees up immense emotional and mental energy that was previously spent on masking, on pretending, on striving to be someone you are not. This newfound freedom allows you to invest that energy into building a life that truly resonates with your deepest values and aspirations. It allows you to cultivate relationships that are built on genuine understanding and acceptance, where you can be fully seen and appreciated for who you are, without caveat or condition. The journey also opens the door to connection with others who share similar internal landscapes. While your experience is uniquely yours, the quiet hum, the sense of being out of step, the depth of feeling, these are not isolated phenomena. There are others who navigate the world with a similar internal architecture, and finding them can be a deeply affirming experience. Whether through shared stories, online communities, or quiet moments of mutual recognition, these connections can provide a sense of belonging that may have been missing. It is in these shared spaces that the sense of isolation can begin to dissipate, replaced by the comforting understanding that you are not alone in your journey, and that your way of experiencing the world is not only valid but also shared by many others who bring their own unique brilliance. This unfolding conversation is not about arriving at a fixed destination, but about embracing the ongoing process of becoming. It is about understanding that you are a dynamic, evolving being, and that your internal architecture, while foundational, is also capable of adaptation and growth. It's about recognizing that your needs may shift over time, and that your understanding of yourself will deepen with each new experience. The gentle curiosity that started this journey remains your most valuable companion, guiding you through new insights and new challenges. As you continue to explore, you might find that the very challenges you once struggled with begin to transform. What once felt like overwhelming sensory input might, with intentional self-management, become a source of rich information, allowing you to perceive details and nuances that others overlook. What once felt like social awkwardness might evolve into a preference for deeply meaningful connections over superficial interactions, leading to more authentic and fulfilling relationships. The qualities that once felt like vulnerabilities can be reframed as strengths, as integral components of your unique operating system that, when understood and honored, allow you to thrive. The act of consciously choosing to live in alignment with your true self is a revolutionary one in a world that often pressures conformity. It requires courage, patience, and unwavering self-compassion. It means being willing to say no to opportunities that don't serve you, even if they seem appealing on the surface, and saying yes to those that truly nourish your spirit, even if they are less conventional. It means advocating for your own needs, setting boundaries with kindness and clarity, and creating a life that feels authentically yours. This doesn't mean life will become without its difficulties. Challenges are an inherent part of the human experience. But with this deeper understanding of your internal architecture, you approach those challenges with new tools. Instead of blaming yourself for your reactions, you can understand their underlying causes. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by external demands, you can learn to pace yourself, to seek out the support you need, and to create conditions that allow you to navigate difficulties with greater resilience. You become your own most compassionate ally, an internal advocate who understands and respects your unique way of processing the world. The landscape of who you are is vast and ever-changing, like a beautiful, intricate garden. There are quiet groves for contemplation, vibrant meadows for joyful expression, and perhaps even rocky paths that require careful navigation. Your task is not to transform this garden into something it is not, but to understand its unique ecosystem, to nurture its strengths, and to tend to its needs with loving care. This continuous tending, this gentle observation, this compassionate interaction with your own being, is the very essence of living authentically. It's about recognizing that your internal world is not a problem to be solved, but a rich and complex reality to be experienced and understood. It's about letting go of the need to be normal or to fit into a predefined mold, and instead embracing the exquisite particularity of your own existence. This embrace is not a passive acceptance. It is an active, ongoing process of self-affirmation and self-creation. It is the brave act of choosing yourself over and over again in a world that often forgets to ask you what you need. And in choosing yourself, you inadvertently offer a gift to others. When you live authentically, you give tacit permission for others to do the same. When you honor your unique way of being, you contribute to a broader understanding and acceptance of human diversity. Your journey of self-discovery, while deeply personal, has a ripple effect, subtly shifting the landscape of understanding for everyone around you. You become a testament to the beauty and strength found in living truthfully, without apology, in alignment with the quiet hum of your own soul. This quiet knowing, this compassionate understanding of your own internal architecture, evolves into a profound sense of self-trust. You learn to trust your instincts about people and situations, recognizing that your sensory input and emotional responses are valid forms of information. You learn to trust your need for solitude or your preference for deep conversation, understanding that these are not deficits but integral parts of your operating system. This trust becomes a guiding star, allowing you to navigate choices, relationships, and life paths with an increasing sense of inner peace and conviction. The journey towards deeper self-understanding is ultimately a journey towards freedom. Freedom from the burden of constantly explaining or justifying yourself. Freedom from the exhausting effort of masking your true nature. Freedom to simply be. This freedom allows you to engage with the world more fully, not by forcing yourself into roles that don't fit, but by finding your authentic place within its vast tapestry. It allows you to contribute your unique perspective, your deep insights, your particular sensitivities, not as a struggle but as a natural outflow of who you are. Imagine shedding the layers of expectation, like leaves falling from a tree in autumn, revealing the sturdy, true branches beneath. Each layer shed brings a lightness, a clearer view of your own inherent structure. This lightness doesn't imply an absence of depth. Rather, it signifies the freedom to move with greater authenticity, to respond to the world from a place of genuine self-knowledge. This process is not about becoming a different person, but about becoming more fully, more deeply, the person you were always meant to be. The quiet, unfolding conversation continues, evolving with each new day, each new experience. It is a dialogue of discovery, of acceptance, of celebration. It is the ongoing work of tending to your own soul, honoring its intricacies, and allowing its unique brilliance to shine. And perhaps, as you continue this gentle exploration, you will discover not just a path to self-acceptance, but a powerful source of strength, creativity, and profound connection, both within yourself and with the world around you. This is the enduring invitation, to live from that place of quiet knowing, with a heart open to the vast, beautiful, and deeply personal landscape of who you truly are. To truly inhabit this invitation is to embark on a journey that transcends mere intellectual understanding and delves into the realm of embodied experience. It is to feel the resonance of your deepest truths not just in your thoughts, but in the very fiber of your being, in the quiet thrumming of your pulse, in the way you breathe, in the gentle unfolding of your days. This quiet knowing isn't a loud declaration. It's a subtle hum, a steady compass needle pointing always towards your authentic north. It manifests not as rigid certainty, but as an adaptable wisdom, a fluid responsiveness to the ever-changing currents of life. An open heart, in this context, is not a naive vulnerability, but a courageous willingness to engage with the full spectrum of existence. It means allowing joy to expand without reservation, and sorrow to flow without resistance. It means encountering others with empathy, recognizing the shared humanity in every gaze, every story. This openness fosters a deeper connection not only with the external world but also with the often hidden parts of yourself. It invites a compassionate gaze upon your own imperfections, your own shadows, understanding that these too are integral parts of the unique tapestry you are weaving. The landscape of who you truly are is not a manicured garden but a wild, untamed wilderness, replete with sun-drenched meadows, shadowed valleys, formidable mountains, and serene hidden springs. To explore it fully is to embrace all its topography, to learn its rhythms, to respect its power, and to find beauty in its raw, unedited form. This exploration demands a particular kind of courage, the courage to be seen, both by yourself and by others, without the protective masks you may have unconsciously constructed over the years. It is the courage to admit what you genuinely feel, what you truly desire, and what you deeply fear. In this raw honesty lies an immense power, for it is through this authentic self-revelation that true intimacy, both personal and relational, can blossom. You begin to shed the burden of pretense, the exhausting effort of maintaining an image, and in its place a lightness emerges. This lightness is not indifference, but freedom, the freedom to simply be, unburdened by external expectations or internal criticisms. As you cultivate this internal landscape, you find that the wellsprings of strength and creativity begin to flow more freely. The strength isn't a rigid force, but a resilient flexibility, an ability to bend without breaking, to adapt and grow even in adversity. It's the strength that comes from knowing your roots, from being grounded in your own truth. And creativity? It's not just about artistic expression, though that may certainly emerge. It's about creative living, finding novel solutions, imagining new possibilities, approaching challenges with an inventive spirit. It's about seeing the world with fresh eyes, unencumbered by old paradigms, and responding to it with an originality that is uniquely yours. This profound connection, both within and without, becomes the natural consequence of living authentically. Internally, you experience a sense of wholeness, a harmonious integration of mind, body, and spirit. The disparate parts of yourself begin to communicate, to cooperate, to contribute to a unified sense of self. Externally, your relationships deepen. When you show up as your genuine self, you invite others to do the same. You attract connections that resonate with your true nature, fostering relationships built on mutual respect, understanding, and genuine affection. You become a beacon, subtly inviting others to explore their own landscapes, to find their own quiet knowing. The journey is not without its challenges. There will be moments of doubt, periods of introspection that feel more like stumbling in the dark than graceful exploration. There will be old patterns that resurface, habits of thought and behavior that attempt to pull you back into familiar, albeit less authentic territory. This is where patience becomes your greatest ally and self-compassion your most potent balm. Rather than condemning these moments as failures, view them as invitations for deeper understanding, as opportunities to apply the gentle wisdom you are cultivating. Each wobble, each misstep, offers a chance to refine your compass, to understand the nuances of your own terrain more intimately. It is in these moments of perceived difficulty that the practice of quiet knowing truly proves its worth. Instead of reacting impulsively or defaulting to old defenses, you learn to pause. You learn to listen to the subtle cues of your body, the whispers of your intuition. You learn to discern between the clamor of external noise and the steady voice of your inner wisdom. This pause creates a sacred space, a moment of choice where you can consciously decide to respond from a place of alignment rather than reaction. It is a profound shift, transforming you from a passive recipient of circumstances into an active participant in the shaping of your own experience. This ongoing work of tending to your soul is not a task to be completed and then forgotten. It is a lifelong commitment, an evolving relationship with yourself that deepens and matures with every passing year. Just as a gardener continually nurtures their plants, understanding that growth is cyclical and ever-changing, so too must you approach your inner life. There will be seasons of vibrant blossoming and seasons of quiet dormancy. There will be times for vigorous pruning and times for gentle watering. Each phase holds its own lessons, its own unique beauty. And as you live from this place of quiet knowing, with a heart open to the vast, beautiful, and deeply personal landscape of who you truly are, you contribute something vital to the world beyond yourself. An authentic life lived radiates an energy that transcends words. It's an unspoken permission slip for others to embrace their own authenticity. It's a quiet act of rebellion against conformity, a gentle affirmation of individuality. Your unique brilliance, allowed to shine without constraint, adds a specific, irreplaceable hue to the collective tapestry of humanity. It enriches the world simply by being. Imagine a ripple effect. One person living truly from their core inspires another, who then inspires another. This isn't about grand gestures or public pronouncements. It's about the subtle, profound impact of a life lived in integrity, a life where inner and outer worlds are harmonized. It's about the peace you carry, the compassion you extend, the creativity you unleash, the gentle strength you embody. These qualities become a silent offering, a gift to the world that needs it now more than ever. The ultimate liberation lies not in achieving a static state of perfection, but in embracing the dynamic, ever-unfolding process of becoming. It is the joy of discovery, the grace of acceptance, the thrill of celebration, all interwoven into the fabric of daily existence. You are not striving towards a distant ideal, but rather unfolding into the magnificence that has always resided within you, patiently awaiting your recognition and embrace. The true self is not something to be earned or constructed. It is something to be remembered, uncovered, and lovingly nurtured. So, continue this gentle exploration. Continue to listen to the subtle whispers, to trust the quiet knowing that resides deep within. Continue to open your heart, even when it feels vulnerable, for it is through this openness that true connection and profound love can enter. Continue to explore the vast, beautiful, and deeply personal landscape of who you truly are, knowing that every step is a revelation, every vista a new understanding. This is not a destination, but a sacred journey without end, a continuous homecoming to the most authentic, brilliant, and beloved part of yourself. This is the enduring invitation, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime, to live fully, deeply, and beautifully from the radiant core of your own true being. And in doing so, to become a living testament to the boundless potential of the human spirit. This testament is not etched in stone, but woven into the fabric of everyday moments in the gentle compassion offered to a stranger, in the unwavering pursuit of a dream, in the quiet strength found in vulnerability. It is a beacon, not blindingly bright, but warm and inviting, drawing others to their own inner light. For when one truly embodies their authentic self, they do not diminish others. Rather, they inspire them to rise. This journey, though deeply personal, is never solitary. It connects us to the vast tapestry of humanity, reminding us that our individual blossoming contributes to the collective garden of existence. Each act of self-love, each moment of genuine expression, sends out ripples, subtle yet profound, touching lives in ways we may never fully comprehend. It is an ongoing act of creation, a continuous co-authorship with the universe itself, where every choice, every breath, every beat of your heart adds another exquisite line to the grand poem of your life. There will be shadows, of course, moments when the path seems obscured, when the whispers of doubt grow louder than the quiet knowing. But remember, these too are part of the landscape, offering contrast, deepening understanding, and inviting an even greater return to the wellspring of your truth. They are not deterrents, but rather opportunities to practice the very art of homecoming, to reaffirm the commitment to your own radiant core. And in that steadfast return, in that gentle persistence, lies the deepest power. It is the power to forgive, to heal, to build bridges where walls once stood, to see beauty in the brokenness, and to find grace in the struggle. It is the power to truly live, not merely exist, to dance with the rhythms of life with an open heart and an unshakable spirit. This is the ultimate freedom, to be utterly, magnificently yourself, unafraid to shine, unafraid to love, unafraid to be vulnerable, and unafraid to truly connect. This is the legacy you build, not just for yourself, but for all who follow, a testament to the enduring human spirit, forever seeking, forever growing, forever returning to the limitless love that is its origin and its destiny. Let this be your guiding star, your inner compass, your unwavering truth. You are a masterpiece in progress, a force of nature, a vessel of divine light. Embrace it fully, live it beautifully, share it freely, and know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that your presence here, in this moment, is a gift, a miracle, a testament to infinite possibility.